In terms of capabilities for making telephone calls, there are two categories of smartwatches. There are Hello, this is Mr. Mobility. What is a Bluetooth calling smartwatch? There are different types of smartwatches. In terms of capabilities for making telephone calls, there are two categories of smartwatches. There are Bluetooth calling smartwatches and there are LTE smartwatches. An LTE smartwatch is one that has a SIM integrated, whether it's a physical SIM or it's an eSIM. It has a SIM integrated to which a number is assigned so that you can make telephone calls on that number, on that line. It's a separate telephone line from what obtains on your smartphone. A Bluetooth calling smartwatch, on the other hand, is a smartwatch that does not have a SIM card integrated into it. It does not have a SIM capability at all, whether it's a physical SIM card or an eSIM. Instead, you can make telephone calls on it by pairing it with your smartphone so that when you have an incoming call on your number, your regular number, the one in your smartphone, that call appears on your smartwatch and you can take it and speak right on your smartwatch and also end the call. You can also initiate telephone calls on your primary line, the one in your smartphone, through that smartwatch. Those are the differences between a Bluetooth calling smartwatch and an LTE smartwatch. The beauty of having a Bluetooth calling smartwatch is that you do not need a second telephone number. The same telephone number that you have been using on your phone is what you are able to access on your Bluetooth calling smartwatch. A wireless Bluetooth connection is what pairs your phone to that watch and keeps the phone calls coming. What are the advantages? The advantage is, one, you don't need a second line. Two, you do not need to pick up your phone to see who is calling. A call begins to come in. All you have to do is look at your hand, James Bond style, to see who's calling and whether to pick or not. Another advantage is that because all it requires is a Bluetooth connection between itself and your phone, battery life tends to be longer than on LTE smartwatches that have their own SIM cards and are connecting directly to the mobile network or to your carrier's wireless network on a 4G LTE connection. So battery drain is bigger on an LTE smartwatch than on a Bluetooth calling smartwatch. Are there any other big advantages? The main advantage is that convenience of being able to screen and manage your calls without having to pick up your phone. Of course, as a disadvantage, it can also be intrusive. If you don't want to pick your phone, just put it on silent and drop it in your bag or leave it on the table. But having to do this every time a telephone call comes in, especially if you're in a company of people, can be intrusive. Or if you are busy, it can be intrusive. If you're in a company of people, it can also even be considered rude. You're talking with somebody at a dinner, a lunch, or whatever, and then you keep doing this. You go like, oh, do you have an appointment? So that's something to think about if you are considering getting a Bluetooth calling smartwatch. Personally, I'd rather not take calls on my smartwatch. Also because there are also privacy concerns, right? I'd rather have a Bluetooth earbud for my calls. I'm the only person who can listen to what the caller is saying. But if I have people around me and I take a call on this, the call comes out through a loudspeaker and everybody around me gets to listen to the conversation. That's so good for privacy. That's what I'd say. So really, I'd just rather have, but yes, it is better to have the feature and disable it so that the day you do need it, you can use it. So for example, my watch is a Bluetooth calling smartwatch, but I have disabled that feature. The disturbances got too much. Every time my phone is ringing, I drop it on the table somewhere and it's ringing, this starts vibrating and then, It just became a little bit too much for me, so I dropped it. But we're all different. People have different needs. Depending on your needs, a Bluetooth calling smartwatch might be exactly what you want to get. And if it is so, please go ahead and get it. How do you pair or how do you connect your Bluetooth calling smartwatch to your phone? You pick up your phone, open the Bluetooth menu, you see the list of available devices, you should see your smartwatch there. Tap on it, it will pair, it might ask you for a pin, enter the pin, it pairs it. Then you come into the settings here to enable that phone option right there, right? You tap on it to toggle it. When it turns green, when the toggle turns green, your Bluetooth calling is enabled, and from that point on, any call that comes in will also ring on your phone, and you can, it will also ring on your smartwatch. And which smartwatches support Bluetooth calling? Quite a lot. It's a fairly common feature now in smartwatches. Apple's smartwatches support Bluetooth calling. Samsung smartwatches support Bluetooth calling. Those are the two most prominent smartwatch brands around. Many other smartwatches by different brands, including small brands, support Bluetooth calling. To find out when placing your order, check the specifications on the site, or check the manufacturer's website, or check a website like mobilityarena.com to find out whether the smartwatch you are buying supports Bluetooth calling. If you are ordering from Amazon, read the description and the details. It's almost always mentioned if it supports it. And if you walk into a store, even better, you can ask the store attendant about the smartwatches you are specifically interested in, and they will guide you. But if you're going with Apple or Samsung, especially their latest models, they all support Bluetooth calling. Your favorite top smartwatch brands as well, your non-phone smartwatch brands as well, most of their latest models, except for the most basic, will support Bluetooth calling. Bluetooth calling is such a basic feature now. It's not rocket science. It's such a basic feature now that most smartwatches actually support it. What is more rare are LTE smartwatches that have that you can use a SIM on the inside. They are becoming more and more rare than used to be. I remember in the early days of smartwatches, I owned one, and the battery would drain terribly fast. I never went back to them. But again, if you need to carry two lines around with you without carrying multiple phones, of course there are dual SIM phones, or you need to carry 3 lines or 4 lines you all the time. One of the ways you can carry one of those lines is an LTE smartwatch. That if you just want convenience, you want to be able to manage phone calls directly on your smartwatch without picking up your phone, then a Bluetooth calling smartwatch is exactly what you need. Okay, I hope I have been able to explain it. A Bluetooth calling smartwatch is simply a smartwatch that pairs with your phone to allow you to make and receive calls on your smartwatch. That's what it is. I'll see you in my next video.